imminent.
You won't answer the question.
It is the nature of the imminent threat that the president has to make that determination based on a collection and volume of information and intelligence that he is provided with.
You're here to be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations.
Exactly what I'm doing.
No, you're evading a question because to provide a candid response to the committee would contradict a statement from the White House.
Senator Jon Ossoff of Georgia is not improvising. He comes to this hearing with documents, dates, and the law. First, a fundraising email signed by the president. Then, the promise inside it, private national security briefings for political donors. Then, the intelligence record on Iran. One phrase says obliterated. Another says no rebuilding effort. But the White House called it imminent. Ossoff's question is simple. Did the intelligence support that claim? Watch what happens when Tulsi Gabbard is asked to answer for the record.
Now, Director Gabbard, I'd like to reground this in your core responsibilities. Under the law, you are responsible for providing national intelligence to the president, correct?
Yes.
And to the heads of executive branch departments and agencies, yes?
Yes.
And to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and senior military commanders?
Across the IC, yes.
And to the Senate and the House and relevant committees, correct?
Yes.
And the law states that the national intelligence you provide to Congress, quote, should be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations, correct?
Yes.
And you noted in your opening statement you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility and that your testimony, quote, represents the IC's assessment of threats,
That's right.
Correct? That opening statement, as submitted to the committee in advance of this hearing, stated that as a result of last summer's airstrikes, quote, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And is that in fact the assessment of the intelligence community?
Yes.
So the assessment of the intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes.
Yes.
And the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False.
And
this is the
determination.
worldwide threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence, timely, objective, and independent of political considerations. You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated and that, quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to the president based on a volume of information that he receives.
It is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the worldwide threats hearing where, as you noted in your opening testimony, quote, you represent the IC's assessment of threats. You are here to represent the IC's assessment of threats. That's a quote from your own opening statement. And so my question is, as you're here to present the IC's assessment of threats, was it the assessment of the intelligence community that, as the White House claimed on March 1st, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
Once again, Senator, the intelligence community has provided the inputs that make up this annual threat assessment.
You won't answer the question.
It is the nature of the imminent threat that the president has to make that determination based on a collection and volume of information and intelligence that he is provided with.
You're here to be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations.
Exactly what I'm doing.
No, you're evading a question because to provide a candid response to the committee would contradict a statement from the White House. Let me ask you about your presence in Fulton County on January 28th of this year. You were present at the FBI's raid on the Fulton County Elections Office on January 28th, correct?
I was present for part of the FBI exercising a warrant approved by a municipal judge.
Yes, and the FBI was there executing
investigation.
that warrant to seize ballots and materials associated with the 2020 election, correct?
Yes.
And are you aware that members of this committee have already opened inquiries into your election-related activities?
Yes.
And are you aware that your general counsel and deputy general counsel have already provided testimony to this committee regarding those activities?
Yes.
On February 2nd, you sent a letter to Senator Warner regarding your presence at the raid. Was that letter accurate?
I don't recall the exact date, but if I sent a letter that had my signature, it was accurate.
You stated in the letter that your presence at the raid was, quote, requested by the president, correct?
Yes.
When did the president request your presence at the raid?
The day of the raid, the warrant execution commencing.
The day of the raid?
Yes.
He called you on the phone?
I'm not going to disclose how the message was delivered, but it was a request from the president and his administration to go and help oversee this warrant being executed along with the deputy director of the FBI.
Is it your role to oversee?
The FBI agents who were conducting
Is it
this
your
warrant.
role to oversee the execution of criminal warrants?
It is my role, based on statute that Congress has passed, to have oversight over election security, to include counterintelligence.
But you said you oversaw the raid, correct? You just testified you oversaw the raid?
Portions of it.
Okay. Did you handle any ballots or election-related materials?
No.
You were inside an FBI evidence truck, correct? You were photographed inside an FBI evidence truck.
It was an empty truck, yes.
The president stated, quote, you looked at votes that wanted to be checked out.
The
Is that
senator's
accurate?
time is expired.
Ossoff's case begins with the record. The intelligence assessment, as he read it back to the Director of National Intelligence, said Iran's nuclear enrichment program had been obliterated. It also said there had been no effort since then to rebuild that capability. Those were not campaign lines. They were words placed before the Senate Intelligence Committee under oath. Then, Ossoff put the White House statement beside it. According to the White House, the war was launched to eliminate an imminent nuclear threat posed by Iran. So Ossoff asked the only question that mattered. Did the intelligence community assess that threat as imminent? Not whether Iran had intentions, not whether Iran was dangerous, not whether the president had authority. The question was whether the intelligence record supported the public justification. Gabbard did not give a direct yes or no. That matters. In national security, words like imminent are not decoration. They can move troops. They can justify strikes. They can shape what families believe about why Americans are sent into danger. If a government can call a threat imminent without saying whether the intelligence supports it, accountability becomes optional. War becomes messaging. Intelligence becomes a shield. Then Ossoff opened a second file. Fulton County, January 28th. The FBI. A warrant. Election materials tied to 2020. A letter to Senator Warner. And Gabbard's testimony that her presence was requested by the president on the day of the raid. She said she was there for part of the warrant execution. She said she helped oversee portions of it. She said she did not handle ballots. She said the FBI evidence truck was empty. But those answers did not close the record, because Ossoff was not only asking whether she touched a ballot, he was asking why the Director of National Intelligence was present at an FBI operation involving election materials after a request from Trump. He was asking where intelligence oversight ends and political power begins. He was asking whether institutions built to protect evidence, elections, and national security can operate independently when the president sends a senior intelligence official into the room. That is the pattern. On Iran, the public explanation collided with the intelligence record. On Fulton County, the president's request collided with the appearance of law enforcement independence. In both cases, Gabbard avoided the clean line Ossoff was trying to draw. A Senate hearing does not convict anyone. It preserves the timeline. It freezes the testimony. It records the words people chose, the words they avoided, and the questions they would not answer directly. When power refuses to answer plainly, the record becomes the witness.